Hi team, welcome to the Kindness, Curiosity and Comfortable Shoes podcast. My name is James McFetrich and this is an ongoing toolkit for all healthcare staff. Whether you are a porter or a paediatrician, a domestic or a driver, clinical or non-clinical, just starting or just finishing your work in healthcare, this podcast aims to give you some useful thoughts about working for this amazing business to get you through your day. Thank you so much for listening. I hope these thoughts are useful and the podcast is fulfilling its purpose as a toolkit for all healthcare workers. So before we start, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please tell other people, tell your co-workers, share what you like about it. Go on, put it in your work WhatsApp group. Go on, do it now, then it's done. And feel free to follow at JMac Education on Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, whatever your social media preference is, and you'll get more information related to the podcasts and other JMac Education updates. Thank you. Ikigai, that is the title of this week's podcast. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ikigai, Ikigai. So I'd not heard of this until I came across it looking at some tools for a client I am currently coaching. And as a complete side note, part of my business is in coaching and working through work-related issues with people in healthcare. So please feel free to contact me if you're interested in exploring that further and looking for coaching for yourself or anyone that you work with. If you contact me on the podcast email, that's hellokccpodcast@gmail.com. Sorry, I completely aside there. So back to the podcast. Ikigai. That is this Japanese concept of finding fulfilment or purpose in life. And like I say, I came across this by accident, and there are books and books on this, a whole rabbit warren of information about living your life infused with meaning and lots of other different summaries, but that's the one I like the most of all. But what really made me sort of want to look into this further, the aspect that I loved and understood as soon as I saw it, was a diagram showing 4 ingredients of Ikigai. And they consist of what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. And if you think of those as 4 circles, the area of your life where those 4 circles intersect is Ikigai. And it's been around in Japan as a concept for nearly 1,000 years, and it's been linked to the longevity of some people in some areas of Japan, especially in Okinawa, an island south of Japan. And certainly in Western culture, it's been popularized over the last 10, 20 years. I'm sure, like all these things, I'm sure it's far more deep and complex than presented in most English language information about it. But I thought it would be interesting to explore, and I think there's certainly some relevance for healthcare and thinking about how we work in the environments that we work in and how to make sure we are living a fulfilled working life. So, as I say, there are these 4 intersecting circles, and even if just 2 circles intersect, areas where you have a common interest with both of those ingredients, that can help us understand a bit about how we approach work. If the circle that includes what you love intersects with what the world needs, that is equivalent to your mission in life or your working life. If what fits into your circle about what the world needs and what you can be paid for, that is your vocation. If what you can be paid for and what you are good at intersect, that would translate as your profession. And if what you are good at and what you love intersect, that would be your passion. So we've got those areas where those circles may intersect, and what we're aiming for to achieve Ikigai, if I'm understanding it correctly, that it is something you can achieve, is that all those circles will intersect. So you will be doing something with your life that has passion, that is a profession, that is a vocation, and also is a mission. And I was really intrigued by this because currently, at this moment in time, I can be quite smug and think that the majority of my work has equal balance of all of those areas. But certainly looking back over my working life, I don't think it's been like that. I do wonder whether professions with long periods of training, like many aspects of healthcare, I wonder how much you can centre yourself in those four areas because of that length of training, and maybe that applies a different focus because of that specific goal attainment by virtue of doing the training. And the other thing that got me thinking is that a lot of the self-help and good life guidance that's out there that has really exploded in the past few years is there's not much that acknowledges that it's nice and important to be paid. Trying to live a good life, if you read newspaper articles and things like that, will often focus on other areas without acknowledging that actually to live in this life, whether we like it or not, being paid is important. So thinking about the specifics of healthcare and these four areas about what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at, I think we can agree that if we work in healthcare, we're definitely covering what the world needs. Whatever aspect of work you do within healthcare, you're contributing to the health of the nation that you work in, and especially of the individuals that you deal with. And because you work in it, you're getting paid for it. So that is what the world needs, what you can be paid for. That is your vocation. I'm not sure it's always clear how that ties in with what you are genuinely good at and what you love. And there's so many opportunities in healthcare. I think sometimes we can lose that sense of trying to find what we are good at. It's not always easy. And because of the vocational and professional aspects of healthcare work, I see in a lot of people that I work with that we often sacrifice what we love because we're doing it for the good of the world around us, that vocational aspect. And I clearly don't want to underrepresent this concept. This is a very superficial, very quick look at some of these aspects. And it may be something that you want to look at further. So I've put some links in the show notes to sites that I found interesting. There's one that has a nice diagram explaining Ikigai, and one that has a lot of articles looking at it from different perspectives, certainly explaining it a bit more, and also looking at ways that you can try and find your Ikigai. So I hope that's useful. And there are plenty of other aspects that I'm not covering here. There are certain pillars such as being active, being in the moment, finding joy in small things of life, finding flow, all of which clearly is important, and that Japanese culture embraces and has been taken up by Western lifestyle coaches, and you'll find plenty of information about those with a fairly quick Google search. However, if this has piqued your interest and it's something that you may feel that you are out of balance, it may be interesting to reflect where you are in relation to those four main areas of Ikigai, and where you may need to think about whether you can redress that balance between what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. And if you are out of that balance, is there something perhaps related to what you do to help re-center yourself? And as I say, I suspect there's a bit more in healthcare about pulling more of what you love and what you are good at into your role at work. That's certainly what I felt reflecting back on my career, that those were areas that I hadn't paid much attention to. And for myself, certainly a lot more centered and happy in my work because I've appreciated, without knowing what Ikigai was, appreciating that is an important part to have fulfillment in my work. So I hope you find that interesting, maybe something you've not come across before, and something that you may want to follow some of the links in the show notes to explore that a bit further and analyze a bit about your working life. Thank you for listening today. There are links in the show notes for information that I've referred to in the show. And if you enjoyed the show and want to help the podcast grow and expand, then please support me and the show and head to buymeacoffee.com/jmaceducation. That's buymeacoffee, all one word, .com/jmaceducation, and support the podcast there. Or if you're listening on the podcast website at kccpodcast.buzzsprout.com, click on the heart on the top right of the page, or click on the support the show link in the show notes. It's also really helpful for me if you rate, review, like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever's appropriate on whichever platform you're listening on. Again, it really does help grow the show. Thank you. So please take care of yourselves out there. You are doing a great job. And remember, be kind, be curious, and don't forget your comfortable shoes. Thank you to Shekina Studio for the music, downloaded through Audio Jungle. Thank you to Beth for the artwork and the photo, produced through Canva. And thank you to Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast. The Kindness, Curiosity and Comfortable Shoes podcast is a JMac Education production.